Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Ignition Now, if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I've talked about how the system is fundamentally rigged, how the rich continue to get richer, and large companies and big corporations actually end up getting the most help from the government, while at the same time, our fellow Americans, the low income earners, the middle income earners, have essentially borne the brunt of this pandemic. It is our fellow Americans who are dependent on unemployment benefits, who are waiting for the stimulus check. Now, the good thing is many individuals have got their stimulus check, but it is our fellow Americans who have been struggling to put food on the table, to keep the lights on, to be able to make rent. And it is our fellow Americans in travel, leisure, entertainment, and hospitality who have lost their jobs in some cases permanently. In this video, I'm going to show you a pretty shocking example of a company that not only avoided paying benefits to the individuals who worked for the company, but the federal government had to step in and provide unemployment benefits to many individuals because this company found a way to avoid paying into unemployment. This is pretty incredible when you think about it. Now, before I tell you which company this is, and I can promise you this is a company that you know about and it's a company that you've probably heard about, I'll show you this headline of an article from Bloomberg on your screen. And this is news that just came in. President Biden wants a corporate tax hike and he wants help for families making $110,000 a year or less. So President Biden is clearly trying to help low-income earners, middle-income earners, and make sure that these large companies who find ways to bend the rules, who find the right lawyers, who find the right accountants, who find the right lobbyists in Washington, because they actually set aside money in order to lobby the government and lobby senators and lawmakers to be on their side so that they can pay less than their fair share. And again, I'm going to get to a shocking example of a company that avoided paying into unemployment, but then the federal government was forced to step in and provide unemployment benefits to the individuals who worked for that company. So before we get to that, what exactly is President Biden up to? Basically, this is a quote from the Bloomberg article. President Biden's tax plan will feature higher levies, higher taxes on corporations and wealthy Americans, with relief for middle-class Americans, including those in the $110,000 a year range. So here's a quote from Bharat Ramamurthy, who's a deputy director of the National Economic Council. This is what he said to Bloomberg Television. The key here is that the president believes strongly that the biggest corporations and those folks who have done extremely well over the last several decades should pay a little bit more. And he goes on to say, we hope to work with Congress to accomplish these goals. The president's tax plan is intended to make sure that middle-class families are not paying more than their fair share, and that the wealthiest folks, which is interesting, who by and large have done quite well over the last several years, including the last year, are paying a little bit more. So let's wait and see if this happens, because this is bound to get a lot of pushback from the Republicans. So now let's shift gears to the company that has avoided paying into the unemployment program, but then took advantage of the federal government, not directly, indirectly, because the federal government had no choice but to provide unemployment benefits through a brand new program called the PUA program to the individuals who worked for that company. On your screen, you see the headline of an article from the Washington Post. As Uber avoided paying into unemployment, the federal government helped thousands of its drivers weather the pandemic. If you recall, the PUA program, the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, it could be used, can be used, is being used by independent contractors, part-time workers, gig workers, including Uber drivers. So remember, these Uber drivers were essentially set up in such a way, they were set up as independent contractors with Uber so that Uber could avoid paying into the unemployment system. They were not W-2 employees, and therefore Uber did not pay into the unemployment benefit system, but the government had to create the PUA program as a result of the CARES Act, because otherwise these individuals would simply have had no recourse at all, because they are not eligible for regular state unemployment because they are not employees. They are 1099. They are 1099 independent contractors as far as Uber is concerned. This not only prevents Uber from paying into the unemployment benefit system, but it saves Uber a ton of money, because Uber doesn't have to contribute to Social Security, and Uber doesn't have to contribute to Medicare, and Uber doesn't have to do a whole bunch of other things if they can position an individual as a 1099. Now here's what's interesting. Not only did these Uber drivers qualify for the Pandemic Unemployment Assistance Program, they also qualified for the EIDL loans, the Economic Injury Disaster Loans. I'll quote from the article, and by the way, you'll get a link to the article in the description section below, so make sure you check it out. Tens of thousands of Uber and Lyft drivers received at least $80 million in government assistance during the pandemic, making them among the largest group of beneficiaries of a little known government grant and loan program, specifically the EIDL program. And this was money intended to help struggling businesses, entrepreneurs, and other workers. And essentially, policy experts said that it was unusual for such a vast pool of workers under the umbrella of corporations, which are basically multi-billion-dollar corporations. Uber has a lot of funding from a lot of very rich people, even though Uber as a company isn't profitable right now. Keep in mind that there are rich people backing a company where the cash and all the money is generated by drivers who then were not helped by the company because they were independent contractors and not employees, who then depended on the government to bail them out, which fundamentally means that the taxpayer through the government ended up helping these independent contractors, which meant that these multi-billion-dollar companies, Uber and Lyft, did not have to help those individuals who worked for them because they were not technically employees. And remember, I mentioned all the lobbying efforts at the start of this video. Here's another quote from the article. Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, and other gig companies poured more than $200 million into an initiative last year that superseded California legislation that would have established certain gig workers as employees, which would mean that Uber and Lyft and all these companies would have to treat them as W-2 employees and pay all the appropriate taxes. And this would also give these employees access to healthcare, sick leave, and unemployment benefits. Now, known as Prop 22, so this was codified. This was essentially made into law as Prop 22, which basically what it did was it formalized these gig workers and it formalized their status as independent contractors and left them without all the benefits associated with W-2 employees. And this was, by the way, a massive blow to labor advocacy rights at the height of the pandemic. And as you can imagine, these companies are now trying to implement that. They're trying to implement Prop 22 in other states throughout the country, because for them, this will add to their bottom line and reduce their costs while having access to a pool of workers, which when bad things happen, are going to need to be helped out by the government. In other words, are going to need to be helped out by your taxpayer dollars. So I have a question for my viewers and subscribers. Let's say on the one hand, you have a major multinational company like Uber that essentially has billions of dollars in funding. And on the other hand, you have good old me, good old you, who pay our taxes and pay into the system that we are proud to be a part of, that we as Americans consider patriotic to pay our taxes. But now you have a situation where the company essentially creates lobbying efforts to make sure that the company does not have to pay for health insurance, does not have to offer sick leave, does not have to offer unemployment insurance. And then when a problem happens like this, who steps in? Who foots the bill? The government, through taxpayer dollars that they need to generate in the future. Let me know what you think of this and this rather unbelievable situation that we find ourselves in, where fundamentally Uber and Lyft and all these companies essentially got away with getting their way in California and are now trying to do it in other states, while the federal government steps in and foots the bill. And hopefully this has taught you something new about the country, the economy, and your money. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something new, please click the like button, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I really appreciate you. That would mean a lot to me, and that does help out the YouTube algorithm. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time. Take care. Bye.